Welcome to the Au Jus. I'm your host, Beef Loaf. This show is being powered by From the 108 and FromThe108.com, where you can get all our content top to bottom, blogs, podcasts, and videos, including the world-famous Sunday Soak. You can also get all of our merch there as well, including our infamous Wave Sucks and hashtag 108 in Garbs. This show is powered by you, the loyal 108 supporter. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to tickle the undercarriage in the process. Like, comment, turn on notifications, most definitely super chat. That's how we get paid. Keep making the brand of content that you know and love. Tonight's guest. Oh, God damn it, do I love my bell. He's one of the brightest minds in White Sox Twitter, a season ticket holder, and someone whose comments and feedback on my work I fear. The man also enjoys the lucrative career of accountant, like your host. He's at ARUDE8 on Twitter. Alex Rude, welcome to Au Jus, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
Terrific, man. Great to have you on. I don't know if I've told you this or not yet, but when we were dreaming up this show, we were planning to do a second show, I told Treasy you were like the first guest I wanted to have on. Now, I didn't have you on first because I didn't want to fuck up. I needed to learn how to host. So, I wait till the fourth time and give myself a chance. But it's great to have you on here. I love our conversations in the ballpark. I love our conversations in the DM about the White Sox. I always learn something brand spanking new. And when we were preparing for the show, normally I throw the comments or the topics to whoever I'm working with. It's like, oh, let's talk about X, Y, and Z. They're like, fine. With you, I had a couple ideas. And I'm like, Alex, is there anything you want to talk about? And you legitimately sent me back a dozen ideas. So we'll do the rest of them kind of at another time. We'll get your ass back on here. But the thing I want to talk about first with you, Alex, is this. You had a follow-up for me in my discussion with Mike Rankin about Noah Schultz, and it involves longtime guy Brandon Stokes.
Yeah.
What say you?
So listening last week, it was like half the conversation was Rankin talking about how he wants to see Schultz and how like all him and James want to do is see Schultz. Turns out back in spring ball when it was only like the White Sox employees and other people there with his frustration about the White Sox, apparently it's 5 minutes from his house where Schultz played. So Stokes saw him all spring and summer. So just suck it, James Fox and Mike. These
guys got to get out there and work harder, man. How is Stokes? Yeah. I mean, I still question whether Stokes has a job or not. That doesn't matter. The man got there and was in. What did he do? What was
secretly a scout for the White Sox this whole time?
That's what he's always been. We never knew. We better be quiet around him then, man. All our criticism. We don't want to hear all that shit. Did he give you any grades? What was his grades on it? What did he have to say about Schultz?
He thought that this was the next big thing. Whatever he would like tell me about it was like I was just looking at Baseball America. It was like he's probably going to Vanderbilt, so it was like a bunch of shock when he was the pick, but. Stokes saw the vision.
He was the first one. Maybe he tipped the Sox off. He said, you got to go up a little higher in price. Buy him out here.
Definitely.
White Sox Sal says, talk about accounting terms. Actually, Alex does tax work. Now, I used to do tax work a long time ago, but the problem with doing tax work a long time ago is all the rules fucking change. This is how Alex stays rich. That's why he's got, bouncy cars and jewels. Exactly. That's why. Exactly.
Exactly.
Now, I put in the intro that you sometimes scare me when you jump in my car. So I'll do it this way. I put some questionable analysis out there. I take some chances, we'll say, either in the podcast or in the blog. And I like to get feedback, but there's a few people who, when they ping me back, I'm usually like, oh shit, what did I fuck up? You are one of them, Alex. However, this one time when Treasy and I were writing all of our blogs about trades with all different teams, and we've done this for the last 3 years. We do a White Sox exercise where we write a blog with the White Sox trading with every single team in MLB. You pinged me this year, and you're like, how come you don't have Jimmy Lambert in here more often? Well, explain to me why you're in love with Jimmy Lambert's trade value and why you're not just fucking with me and trying to bust my balls.
Well, it's not in love with Jimmy Lambert. It's in love with the fact that he's cheap and cost controlled. Like, he's not a free agent until 2027. And he's still on the minimum for 2 more years. And like ever since he went to a reliever, he's actually been good. Like a 2.90 ERA as a reliever this year. And like the Yankees and Cubs set the precedent. The Cubs got a Yankees top 10 prospect for Scott Efros at the deadline. So they set the precedent.
Yeah, I mean, what if you can flip him around and turn him into a starter? I mean, he's a failed starter currently, but in your pitching program, maybe not in someone else's. You never know.
Yeah.
No, Billy Wires, we are not doing no Snapchat during this podcast. I'm sorry. All right, I know some of you are Snapchat enthusiasts, but we're not doing that.
Hit up the Bleed podcast for that.
Yeah, exactly. That's where we leave all that stuff there. I didn't know Jimmy. White Sox Sal says Jimmy the Nose Lambert. I didn't know Jimmy Lambert, big nose guy. I gotta send him pay attention. Maybe he doesn't have the kind of schnoz I got going, but yeah, I didn't realize that. So. Anyway, the main reason you're here, we're going to do kind of an AL Central preview. Part of it being the fact that we wanted to do some comparisons basically of how some of these teams are running their offseason compared to the White Sox are running their offseason. So, Alex, the floor is yours. I'll jump in. I'll get in where I fit in, as my bro Wally Money would tell me.
You want to start with Cleveland?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
So the first question with Cleveland, do you think you could sustain like all their 2022 success?
From the perspective of like their pitching, and we talked a little bit about like 2021 was such a down year for them. If you look at 2020, their pitching was absolutely dominant. I mean, Shane Bieber was Shane Bieber. I think they had. Let me pull up I've got the. Yeah, I was gonna say I've got the image here from this group. So it was. They had Cookie was still there, and he had a full 60 game season. Plesac was very good. And you were just starting to get little bits of Tristan McKenzie right there. So that 2021 Cleveland or that 2020 Cleveland team really rode their pitching. They had an 88 OPS plus. The pitching was really the killer there. 2021, they had injuries and they had poor performances. It sounds like the 2022 White Sox, right? You have Bieber getting hurt, and look at how bad Tristan McKenzie was, almost a 5 ERA there. So my thought is like. I think the 2022 pitching staff, what we saw last year, is probably closer to reality for them.
Yeah.
And with regards, right. I mean, I think that looks more like it than this.
Question. It's like the hitters for 2022. Can they all keep that up? Like Stephen Kwan, who came from battling for a roster spot in spring training to Rookie of the Year finalist. Like, is that for real, or was that just all luck?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, when I was looking at that, it was kind of weird. Like in 2022, they had lower ISO than 2021. Now that was kind of common across MLB because home runs disappeared, right? You lost 700 home runs or whatever it was, so everyone went down. But they had a lower walk rate in 2022, right? And they made a little more contact, a little higher BABIP. But in the time when it was happening, when Cleveland was playing well enough on offense, all I could keep thinking was, this is just like sequencing luck, man. They're just getting so fucking lucky. And I felt it because our Sox, you'd watch them hit 11 singles in a game and get one run, whatever the fuck.
And then Jose Ramirez home run, the throw.
Exactly. Cleveland would get 5 out of that,
Hate that guy.
But that's what they're built. Their offense is built around. Yeah. You got one piece of stability in there, and then kind of the rest. Now they've added to it. This offseason, they've added some weapons there.
Yeah, they added Zanito and Bell. So they went from the defensive-only catchers that they had in Hedges and Molly last year. They added Zanito, who can hit tanks, but is really good behind the plate.
Right, and Josh Bell, actually, I mean, it should add some power to that group. It's kind of funny they're stacking all that power up right there because they got a bunch of power from Josh Naylor, too, last year that kind of popped them up. And
he was another one of those 2021 injured guys when he tore his ACL. Like, if he was healthy in 2021, were they better and maybe bought at the deadline instead of selling us Cesar?
Well, they also hilariously tried to play Josh Naylor in the outfield. I remember a game at Sox Park where he's in right, and he makes a bad throw. Treasy turns to me. He's like, well, that probably just slipped out of his hand. That couldn't be his. And then he made another real bad throw. We're like, this guy just can't play the outfield. So I don't know. Maybe sometimes pulling a guy out of the outfield and putting him at first base does actually work. I'm skeptical, Alex. Yeah, exactly. We need it, but I'm skeptical of that. But I don't think Cleveland. I don't think the Cleveland that we saw last year is the same Cleveland. I don't think it's the 90+ win team. I'm not sold on it.
Yeah, I thought they would be better. Going in the last year, I was telling Herb and Zoe when they had Herb on Pinwheels and Ivy, I was like, I think Cleveland finishes in second. Like, they're the only team you need to watch out for, but never could have expected that.
Right.
I thought they would have been the only other team above 500, but they were the only team above 500.
Exactly, the only one. Senor Sox says that me and Alex fed each other wings last week. Is this true? You have seen Senor
Hooters,
Sox in the wild at Hooters.
True alpha male style. It was me, Senor, Luke showed up, Sammy Davis, and Senor's kids.
Who picked up the check?
I think we each paid for our own, but Senor picked up Luke's beers.
What a guy. Love it. Love to hear it. I see your guy, Sean Anderson, with the eyeballs in the. Yes, we are talking about Andrew Vaughn. Actually, before we started, Sean, Alex said, I got to have you on for your rebuttal about Andrew Vaughn. I don't know how much fanboying I can take, but you should come on, Sean, so we can bet, because that's the way to clear the air. We'll just make a bet on it, very public bet, and then we'll see who's right about Andrew Vaughn later. So, yeah, I mean, what do you think, Alex, about Cleveland? What do you think the Guardians will do in 2023? Obviously, they're the biggest concern, at least in the betting markets. Where do you think they land here?
I think they'll take a slight step back, but they'll still be competitive just because Terry Francona is a damn good manager. But I don't think it would be smart to assume another 93-win season just adding Zunino and Josh Bell. There's too much uncertainty there.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on that offense. That offense last year, is as good as it looked, was just a 102 OPS plus. And they had a lot of guys kind of have years where they were above average. I mean, Naylor was well above average. Jimenez was well above average. Quan, the aforementioned. I mean, Oscar Gonzalez came up and hit the tar out of the ball. I mean, they did have Framil Reyes fall off, and then they just summarily sent him away. But, I would kind of agree with you there.
Yeah, just looking at the Fangraphs projections right now, they're just projected at like a 515 winning percentage, like right above the Twins. Like, projections don't love them. Is like I don't know what to think.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Exactly. Which of this group is going to show up, and the volatility too. When you're depending a lot on pitching, and we'll get to the White Sox in a little bit because I think they're depending on pitching more than we think. When you're depending on pitching, there's a lot of volatility there from the injury standpoint. Mm-hmm. You don't know which guy is going to
one fuck up and you're out for a year.
Yeah, exactly. Guy gets a bum wing like in 2021, and Bieber goes out. I mean, that's your season, kind of with these guys,
Exactly. But now they have Cal Quantrill and other guys stepped up, so maybe they can sustain a Bieber injury at this point. But
yeah, and Tristan McKenzie looks like he's this. McKenzie looks like he might be a stud. Like he's a oncoming stud.
I don't know what happened in 2021 with him. Like he was good in 2020, and just everything fell off last year, and just going back to be the stud from 2020.
I don't know how he gets that much power going. He's so goddamn skinny, but that's impressive.
It really is.
All right, who you got next?
You want to head over to the rebuilders? So Detroit.
Yeah.
Detroit was the one team everybody expected to give the Sox a push last year, but they ended up going 66-96. I'm not sure what happened last year. I wasn't big on the Tigers, but I couldn't have expected it to be that bad. And this offseason, all they've done is just add Michael Lorenzen and bring back Matt Boyd. So I'm not sure what else they could do. What else are they expecting? They also traded away their best reliever in Gregory Soto.
Right.
For a bunch of random dudes. I think it was Matt Vierling, Nick Maton, and Donnie Sands. I don't really know anything about any of them.
Now, is Vierling the guy I heard has good batted ball data or something? There was one guy in the chair who was like, "Oh, this guy might be a guy." It's like, I never heard of this guy. I have no idea who it is. The funny thing about Tigers was
I'm pretty sure he was a defensive replacement last year for the Phillies, Vierling.
No, okay. Yeah, so he played a little bit, right? Not that much.
Yeah.
The funny thing about Tigers is a couple years ago when they had drafted all the arms, they had Manning and all these guys. Skubal was coming on a little bit, and I told Trezy and my Sox summer, oh man, Tigers are going to be trouble, man. 2023, they're going to be. I'm going to get those futures in. And then last year before the season, Trezy and I do our show where we do season win totals, and I bet the under on the Tigers total because I looked at their fucking lineup and I'm like, they don't have a 300 on base guy. They nobody. And then I think they finished the year with a 280 on base percent, something. incredibly low. And it's just like they never filled in anything on the offensive side. So even if the pitchers all panned out, it was like, you're just not going to make it.
They needed Spencer Torkelson to come up and be a stud, and then he just sucked.
And exactly. Yeah, you're right. They needed Riley Green. Like they needed the two linchpins on the offensive side to really come and do it. But they weirdly didn't buy nothing. Like usually you're coming out like they bought Javi Baez.
Yeah,
that's fine. He glove it, but he can't hit.
But he's not an on base guy. When you don't have any on base guys, he doesn't make any sense.
That's right.
Like they lowballed Correa, and like little do they know he's in the division now for the next 6 years.
Exactly. That's absolutely right.
Yeah, only one team had a lower on base than the Tigers last year, and it was the A's.
Yeah, and they weren't trying. I mean, the 286 on base percentage for the Tigers last year. I was like,
they were trying.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely right. I mean, and they just couldn't hold up injuries to their pitching staff either. I mean, like
exactly.
They're just way too thin, and it just. I kind of wonder if they go back into another rebuild. Like I don't know. Like they signed.
I'm thinking the same. They brought in the new GM. Like they would have the excuse to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And you got some pieces people would want, and there's some of these guys you would hang on to through it. Like maybe you think you get through it quick. But like last offseason, they did Baez, they did Eduardo Rodriguez. It's like they were kind of putting the stability. They didn't buy a 5-win player like they really fucking needed to.
Yeah, the only even part-time at 110 games player that they had above 100 WRC plus was Eric Haas. Like the rest of the lineup was below 100.
This is such garbage. Billy Wires wants to know if you have porn on one of your monitors. I'll feel free to answer or not. And
do you think Fangraphs counts as porn?
That's baseball porn, right? And then Soxwood says bias to the Sox. I mean, I wouldn't mind it either, actually. I would take him, sure. I mean, as long as it was in the pure salary dump style deal, like where you don't have to give up too much and you just kind of take him out, I'd be interested for sure.
Yeah, and Timothy brings up a good point. They didn't buy a 5-win player. Then you can say that about a lot of the teams in the division.
Yeah, basically all of them but the Twins. That's right. And Shane, thank you for the drink. Yeah, it is white wine tonight for me. Anjou is white wine night, my friends. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that the Tigers. I don't even know that the Tigers are annoying anymore. Like they're just like they're there. We go there, we'll kick their ass. Like that sort of. Yeah. That's the way I feel about them at this point. They're
forever bad ever since the old man died. They stopped caring.
Yeah. Yeah, the kids are treating it like a trust and just like a fun hobby or something,
And then there's the Royals. Their offseason confuses me even more. They added Ryan Yarbrough on a 1-year deal. They added Jordan Lyles on a 2-year deal, and then last week they added Aroldis Chapman of all people for another 1-year deal. I still need to know what. Yeah. I thought it was just the most random place he could sign with.
It's weird that because it feels like they got bullpen arms. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like there's guys in their bullpen that are decent, and it's like you add him. But then on the pitching staff, you already got a bunch of Jordan Lyles. Man, you need a real guy. You got Jordan Lyles coming out your ass in the farm system. It's like, and it's a shame in my opinion because I like, and maybe I'm a little biased. I kind of like some of the position players that are coming up. These young guys. I like what's the guy? The Italian Nightmare, Pasquantino or whatever. Yeah, Vinny P. Yeah, exactly, man. He's a powerhouse, man. I like it. Obviously, they got Bobby Witt Jr. They're trying to figure out what Mondesi is if he's if he's a shortstop.
Forgot he's still there.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
he's gotten hurt.
Exactly.
I didn't even realize he was on the team until you mentioned it.
Well, that's what they got decisions to make there because you've got. I mean, Witt could be a shortstop.
Yeah. I
mean, Mondesi is a shortstop. He doesn't really hit. So you got to they got to figure out what they're doing on that side. I thought for me. I thought Kansas City was a great spot for what's the kid we all love? Brandon Nimmo, who went back to the Mets. What? I thought they could use a center fielder and a guy who is like an on base machine in this spot. I was like this because I was trying to envision. We were doing predictions for the free agents. I was trying to envision like the mid-market team stepping up and buying some of these guys. So like I predicted like Trey Turner to the Marlins and like and Nimmo to the Royals. I was kind of like hoping, come on, let's have let's have some let's go off and let's see some teams step up, and then none of that happened.
You got to also factor in reality.
So what do you think about Chapman? What do you think their goal is here with Chapman? Like they signed him for $3.5 million.
There's the only goal that makes sense is flip him at the deadline, but even that, there's not going to be many opportunities to showcase him as a closer, like going into the deadline. Like they're going to be winning games,
right? Who knows? It's tough to tell. I still do like that offense. I would be.
I did really like their manager hire. I did neglect that. Matt Quatraro, I would have thought he would have been a great fit for the Sox. He was my guy who was rooting for, but.
Yeah, and he comes from great stock from being in Tampa, right? He was a bench coach in
Cleveland
Tampa.
Before that. That's how he knew the owner. So they kind of pulled a Jerry there.
Now, do you think they're mad that he pulled a Jerry and they didn't promote Grifol, or no? It doesn't seem like it.
Because they didn't end up with Tony. No reason.
That's right. It's absolutely true. Yeah, I'm confused by them because they have like MJ Melendez too, who's a good hitter. I don't know if he's a catcher.
And they blocked him by extending Salvi.
Yeah, this is weird stuff. You got to wonder if they're going to start unwinding some of that stuff and start. Now that they got the new manager, new GM in place, they kind of like different decision makers. But
Salvi's contract, you can't really unwind him. He's like there for like 3 or 4 more seasons.
Yeah, he's on the Miguel Cabrera deal. At least he still hits some, but. Jack Carey says MJ Melendez is going to be real nice, insane athlete for a catcher. Yeah, it's funny. Last year, I think he was in right field, maybe he was in left field, and he made a nice catch in the outfield against the Sox. And Mr. Hand turned to me and he goes, "That's why you put an outfielder in the outfield." I said, "Well, actually, that guy's a catcher." It's like, he's like, "Oh, okay." Senor Sox says the AL Central is a joke. Every team thinks they're doing it by doing the bare minimum. Yeah, I think they realize that, right? The bar is low, and so they're like, "Fuck it, we're not going to do a whole hell of a lot."
Exactly. I guess the Royals are really just hoping on Quatraro being the guy and like more of their prospects coming up. But even last year, like most of their prospects played like shit in the minors. Like their farm system is like right next to the Sox in the farm system ranking, so it's like there's not much else there. So like this could be a perpetual rebuild. Like
that's true, but they do also have a pile of starting pitchers that have underperformed. And you get Cal Eldred out of there, and maybe you get a new voice in there. Maybe you get some pop out of there. Like,
but
I find them
just at the major league level. It's like the entire organization level that they weren't able to develop pitching at all.
Yeah, that's true. Especially in that ballpark, you're like, it's ridiculous when that pitching going there. Nathan Sheba, thank you. Says Alex knows baseball and is nice. Great guess. Yes, he does know baseball and is nice. Thank you for the drink, Nathan. I'm white wine tonight, Nathan. Thank you.
I love how you remind everybody every time.
Well, I don't mention it up front like we do in the 108 podcast. Just want to make sure everyone's who's catching it in the middle might be in tune with what we're talking about here. Alex, I would still take the Royals over the Tigers, though. Yeah. I think there's more pop in the Royals lineup potentially here. I think there's more prospects here that could become something. Like, the post-type guys, because they got kind of a lot of that going on here. But, it's nothing that terrifies me as a White Sox fan.
Exactly. Like, maybe if all their pitchers in the minors hit, like, then they could be cooking with something. But maybe that's a year or two away minimum. But
right. Yeah. Yeah, right. It takes a while to get the new pitching program through and have people.
At least the Tigers did try and supplement with veterans last year with adding Meadows, Baez, and Erod. But, like, all the veterans were shit.
yeah, exactly. Well, they traded. Who did they trade for Meadows? Who was the kid?
Isaac Paredes.
That's right, and he played well. Every time I see like a 1-for-1 like that, I think it was Liberatory for a Rosarina, right? I was like, I don't know who a Rosarina is, but I'll bet he'll be good when he gets here. That's with the Rays. It's crazy.
It's especially with the Rays. Like, just principle, never trade with them.
That's right.
I think San Diego and the Cronenworth trade were the only ones not to get like absolutely shafted by the Rays.
That's right. Cronenworth has stayed good. White Sox Sal, thank you for the drink. He says replace MSS with Alex. I'm going to be honest with you. There was a show not that long ago, just in the start of the offseason, where we were going to have Alex jump in for MSS, and then the last minute MSS is like, no, I can do this thing. I think it was when we were doing Sox Machine offseason plans. He's like, no, I want to do one. Okay,
that's what we did for the trade deadline.
That's what we did for the trade deadline. Yeah, you jumped on here with us instead of MSS. MSS's barrier to entry is just make sure he understands a baseball player or a porn star. That's all. Don't let the delineation we expect out of MSS. All right, we love him regardless.
That heart attack right after the pod with the hater getting traded, just not knowing the team for like a half hour, just worried shitless that Rick Hahn did it again and overpaid for a leader.
Would have been amazing. Singer Sock says Alex knows his shit. You goddamn right he does. That's why I'm on here, so I don't look so stupid. All right. All right. You want to get in on the Twins? You want to get in this fucking trade or not? I want to know. I want to know what you think of the trade, Alex. So that's been the big story. The Twins traded Luis Ariz to Miami, and they got back Pablo Lopez and a couple prospects. I want to hear your thoughts on the trade.
For the Twins, how it works out this year is going to depend whether Pablo Lopez is the first half Pablo that was dominant or the second half Pablo that had a 5 ERA. But like in the grand scheme of things, they're taking away their probably second or third best hitter in a rise from a lineup that probably needs to thump or guys ahead of Buxton and Correa, and adding it with another mid-rotation starter. Their entire rotation is mid-rotation starters, which is nice that you don't have the back end, but they have like no true aces, which is like there's nobody. You walk into the ballpark and you're like, oh shit, we're going against so and so tonight. It's just like even Sonny Gray, they lit up Sonny Gray for what, like 10 runs in Minnesota this year. That he was the one that gave up that Luis Robert grand slam.
That's when I thought the Sox were back on track. When Luis Robert hit that moonshot to left field, I was like, yes,
head into the deadline, like a game or two out, like head into the All-Star break, a game or two out. It was like we're all feeling good. Right after the Sox Machine meetup.
No, not so good. They exactly lose the game.
But they did catch and pass the Twins.
That's true.
No one expected Cleveland.
Let's get to a couple drinks here. Soxwood, thank you. And his comment is Jordan Miller. So yeah, we're not no Tupac tonight. And then Lil Yumper says salute. So thank you, Lil Yumper. Yeah, I agree with your thoughts on the trade there. They didn't get the more impact player, right? Miami got the more impact player, and I think materially our concerns are the Twins side. However, though, adding another starter that pushes back kind of some of the low-end starters that they were going to be forcing into those spots, or even just protects them from injury. Like, Maeda's just coming back from Tommy John. Sonny Gray can get wonky when he's overused. Like, I think it helps them. It's tough to tell, though. They need, like, some of these tertiary prospects that have popped up. And I'm not talking about Royce Lewis. I'm talking about the Kirilloffs of the world and the Larnacks of the world to pop up and actually fucking hit for this to actually work for them. Because you're right. They don't got a big on-base guy on this. Ariz was the big on-base guy in this fucking round. Like, even Buxton, when he's clicking, his on-base, like, 310 or something like that. Yeah.
Before the trade, you would have thought their entire, like, off-season plan was just, let's just stay healthy and see what happens. But
right.
It changes everything. Did you see the Bob Nightingale story yesterday about this?
No.
They quoted anonymous White Sox official and said this trade would give us a couple more wins now that Ariz is gone. So, and they also had another American League executive pan the trade. It says it hurts their chances for this year. So
who knows? That's funny. It is tough when you deal I think I don't know if we've already seen the best Luis Ariz season or not. That's where I stand. He doesn't have power. It's all hit tool. I don't know what he is on defense because he played first base last year. That was more of a function of how they were built and less I don't know, maybe he's fine at second and that'll really boost up his WAR production. I'm not sure, but it's an interesting trade from that perspective. The Marlins had to they had to divest of some of this pitching, but it's weird they didn't get a more impactful bat in doing so.
The Marlins are interesting. Like they added like solely middle infielders this offseason just to play them in other positions.
That's right.
Like they got a second baseman in Gene Segura playing third, a second baseman in Joey Wendell playing shortstop, a second baseman in Rise playing second base, a second baseman in center field, and now we're adding another first baseman. So,
right. Are they adding? Are they going to add Gurriel too? Like I've heard
think
that
so.
rumor.
That's what Feinstein said yesterday. But we'll see. We'll see.
And it's wild. I was thinking that too. Like you're right. They don't have a shortstop. Like when I saw that Joey Wendell at short, I'm like, they should sign Elvis Andrews. Not that they need another middle infielder, but that would be a real shortstop they could sign who's just out there.
I'm surprised he hasn't signed yet. Like I would have thought, like after Boris was done with Correa, he would have immediately found Elvis a team.
You think so too, especially because the whole season he was at least like league average at the plate, basically, right? And he's still a solid defender. It's like someone could give him 500 plate appearances and let him.
I honestly thought he was going to be the Twins starting shortstop until that Korea fiasco happened.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I saw Sox fans trying to downplay it and was like, no, this is bad for the White Sox. It would have been much better if Carlos Correa was not on the Twins. Like,
they were still bad with Correa last year, but like, imagine how much worse they would have been without Correa.
That's right. That's exactly the point. Like, I prefer they not get the 5-6 win player back. Like, who knows? Things could go right together for them. They could string some shit together.
Exactly, and then they added Joey Gallo, who knows at this point, and I did like the Christian Vasquez signing, just replacing Gary with him, but they also got rid of like 2/5 of the rotation too, with Bundy being gone and it was Archer.
Was it Chris Archer? Yeah, I think it was Chris Archer. Yeah,
being gone too. Like they added Pablo, but did they add anybody else to the rotation? Is it just like expecting Maeda to be back?
Yeah, I think that's it. I'm pretty sure. Let me check that real quick. But I think that's just kind of the plan. Like they're hoping like the Bailey Obers of the world to take a step. Yeah, so roster resource has Pablo, Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, Tyler Mahle, and Maeda as the 5 starters. So I mean that's the group. And then let's see, in the minors, they got Bailey Ober, they've got Simeon Woods Richardson. So they have they do have a pile of starting pitchers in the high minors. So it's not like they're not kind of so that's another thing to your point, Alex, is like why have another number 3 starter when you got all these guys coming? They're on the way. Exactly. Get an ace, and then let's see who makes it out of the other groups.
Exactly. I would have thought they would have gone after Rodon. Like he made the most sense for them, but he ended up with the Yankees in a move that kind of didn't make sense for them either. Like they're another team is like they lost to the Astros because they couldn't hit. They've added nothing to their lineup except bringing back Judge.
Right. Yeah. We have a one-man lineup. Like it's kind of wild. Oh, they re-signed. They re-signed the whole group, right? The Rizzo too, right? Yeah. So that's just the same group that didn't hit at all. Exactly. No Matt Carpenter though.
He's great. Just gotta hope for a Donaldson and IKF bounce back.
That's what every team's hoping for.
Okay, so speaking of bounce backs, let's go to the Sox.
Fingers crossed.
So we all know they added Benintendi and Clevenger, but the biggest impact probably will happen is Griffel. If he's as good as Han says, like you could have the turnaround, but is he as good as Han says? Nobody knows.
That's what's hard about it for me, Alex, and I do want to end up doing this, and maybe we'll get back together and end up doing this on a different show, but I want to set some guidelines of, okay, where do I think he's succeeding, and make myself immune to, well, he's just not Tony, so he's good. Like, Tony fucked up in lots of ways, but I don't want another mediocre manager just because he's not Tony to be like, oh, I'm okay with this. I want to see some real production on the guy. And I agree with that. I'm a little skeptical only because, he's a new manager. And it's just like, hey, everyone gets to the new job and, you don't know all of what you're doing just yet. And it takes some time to get there,
I do like that they added the bench coach with previous manager experience. So he'll have him there at least. But there's still like a bunch of unknowns whether you'll listen. Like Montoyo got fired mid-season last year with all that talent. Like, who even knows? Is he even good?
Right. Yeah. It's tough to know. Exactly. I agree with you. I like that. I also like that they they really put a bunch of infrastructure in, kind of behind him, right? So they brought his guy Tosar in there. They have extra hitting coaches, right?
Yeah.
They hired what's the kid that they hired that used to be with the Nats, now is going to be like building a database for them. Sam Mondry Cohen, I think is the guy's name. They hired him into the front office, and so like they're adding more infrastructure to try to help. That's good. All that stuff's good stuff. I don't know if it'll work, but I like the idea of doing it.
I like the underlying process.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
I do like Senor's comment.
Yeah, I was just going to pull that up. Senor Sox says Pedro Grifol will be slightly better Ricky Renteria, and I'm fine with that. I would be fine with that too, Senor. Yeah, if he connected with the players the way Ricky does, but added the layer of, I understand modern game theory and analytics, and I understand how to talk to these hitters and communicate these types of things to them, that'd be terrific. We work fine with that.
Ricky wasn't as bad as the White Sox media made him out to be.
Agreed.
And
there's a long time Ricky
helped him for that playoff series, like adding another starter or something. Didn't even need to be Lynn. Probably could have gotten like a Ty Walker for like Ian Hamilton at the deadline.
Just a guy who would get through the lineup once and they win that first series. That's all they needed.
And like that game 3 was every reliever having their worst game of the season. So like I can't really fault Ricky for that.
And Garrett Crochet getting hurt. Like everything that could have gone wrong in that fucking game went absolutely wrong. So yeah, I totally agree there. But you're right. They are pinning a lot of the hopes on Grifol being able to just kind of change everything over here, because the net I would almost say we're net neutral as the assets that went away and the ones that add on, not performance wise, because Johnny Cueto's performance was terrific. Yeah. But his level of pitcher, you added Clevenger, which has got to be somewhere in that range. And then the combination of moving Vaughn out of the outfield and having a competent outfielder plus Andrew Benintendi's bat probably covers you with Abreu. It's kind of close enough, the production-wise. I don't know, might not be perfect, but it's kind of similar. So
just adding competence out there will do so much more than we can expect.
Absolutely. It's going to be worth a win to 2 wins just by that. It's just like having a guy who knows what the fuck he's doing in the outfield. Is like, even just digging in the numbers, it's like, wow, they were that. And they were bad in left field with Vaughn, but they were bad in right field too with Gavin Sheets. I mean, he improved a little bit towards the end of the year, but so bad. Like, you put a competent right fielder, if it's Oscar Colas. I don't know what you heard today. I don't know if you heard the rumors about Eloy Jimenez, Alex. Would you be excited just from a standpoint of we're sitting really close to Eloy, and so if he falls in the spider webs, yeah, exactly, right?
I don't know if it'd be good, but it'd be fun.
That's kind of what I was looking at myself.
It's like I saw that. I wasn't sure what to make of it. Just Eloy like telling himself, like coping with like trying to like not think about being a full-time DH. It's just like, will they actually play him out there? That's the real question.
I don't know. I mean, I have to think he's going to get 15, 20 starts in the outfield during the year. I don't think he's going to be but he's mostly a DH for my money, I would think.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We talked about about Cleveland with their pitching and how they had the down year in 2021. I was looking at the Sox as well. So I'm going to pull up the White Sox 2021 pitching staff, and the 2021 White Sox starters were absolutely terrific. Everyone remembers that. They kind of led them to the playoffs. They had a 1.18 ERA plus, and this group pretty much top to bottom were all really good. Dallas Keuchel was even not that terrible. Well, he was kind of bad, but the rest of the group was absolutely on fire. When you fast forward to 2022, though, huge letdown from Lucas Giolito, kind of well known, but also Lance Lynn, not only in performance but in volume.
Yeah.
And in some respects, I mean, to me, it looks like that 2021 Guardians pitching staff, where they had the down year with the group. They went in the valley. And so I was going to ask you, Alex, how much of the 2023 White Sox success is just based on the White Sox starting pitchers getting back to form?
I think that's going to be a pretty good, like, if Lucas Giolito isn't fat again, if Lance Lynn can stay healthy, like, that's 2 spots in the rotation that can bounce back. And it's like how good Giolito was the past 3 years, him just spending the entire offseason on the Lance Lynn diet, gaining like 50 pounds, like just threw everything off. Like, yeah. Like even before he like got COVID and everything, Sean and I were like texting, just looking at the underlying numbers. It's like, oh boy, this is not going to end well. Lo and behold. he was crap. Can Kopech stay healthy? Like, it wasn't the arm, it was the knee.
And apparently the knee is still an issue, right? I mean, you're hearing little whispers of like he might not be ready, or he might not be ready to throw a full by opening day, or whatever. It's like it's a little scary to hear.
That's fine, like if he's not completely stretched out, but
yeah,
as long as he's not on the IL, that's fine. Because beginning of the year, like you can deal with that, like they did last year. Like none of the pitchers were able to go like more than 5 innings until like their third or fourth start.
That's true, but we had my man Vinny Velo back then. Now we don't have Vince anymore. We need someone to fill in that spot. Do we got anyone? Is that Nick Avila's music I hear coming in there?
Maybe that's Jimmy Lambert.
Maybe that's Jimmy Lambert, right? It could be him, right?
Exactly. But we'll see. A lot of their success does come from the pitching staff, and I think moreover Oscar Colas. Like, is he good? Can he play an actual outfield? Because like you said, Gavin Sheets was shit out there. And if he brings competence to the right field defense, you had competence all around the diamond in your defense when defense was shit last year.
Yeah, so this was an idea I floated out there in some blog, and then Josh Nelson DM'd me and he said, "You're making me laugh that they're going run prevention first." I said, that's what their fucking offseason has been. They changed the defense around so that they're basically league average or better in almost every spot. I mean, I think it depends on what you think of Tim. Maybe Tim is slightly below league average. It's short on defense. I think the jury's out on Vaughn, but I also don't care that much about first base. Yeah. The rest of it should be league average or better, kind of all around the diamond. Like it's a much better defensive team.
Exactly. Like you lose Jay Hay, who was a great defender, but like second baseman, like Romy or Lennon can just be competent, and it's the gains in the outfield more than make up for Josh's loss.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And then the lineup, if everybody stays healthy, like Luis Robert isn't batting one-handed for a month. Like the Vaughn question, will he be good?
Yeah, we need it.
Yeah, we'll see.
I was upset, Alex, after a while that Luis Robert didn't learn how to swing with the one hand. All right, I get it. You're hurt and everything, but you got to adapt. Exactly. You've been doing it long enough. Fucking hit some shit with that one-handed swing. Let's go.
Exactly.
Jack Carey says TA is very underrated at shortstop. He has great range. It's just he seems like I don't know if he just doesn't have great hands. That's kind of the way I think about him. Like sometimes he'll boot a ball that's kind of routine. I don't think it's concentration. I just wonder if his hands aren't that great. And like he does have terrific range though. He can really move out there.
And I think a lot of it's also like decision making on throws, trying to make like using the range to make plays rather than just eating it. He just throws it into the dugout.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
People make the argument about Tim's defense. They just focus on the errors, and that's it.
And Matt Trust says Abreu sucked when he was at first base when he first started there. Give Vaughn a chance. Matt, you're 100% right. Abreu was horrendous on defense when he first got here. He worked really hard to improve. Mm-hmm. The only problem, and I agree, give Vaughn a chance. The only problem is we're trying to win right here now. When when Abreu sucked at first, the team blew. I mean, it was like he's the only guy there. I'm there to watch unless Chris Sale's pitching. It was like it was a dark era. We got to win now. So this is why there's a difference in expectations there. But I agree 100% with your comment there.
Yeah, Yumper hits it right on the head. Like he has great range, but it hurts him. Gives him the chance to make the more mistakes with those throwing errors.
He brings up Starlin Castro as a comp. I would bring up another Cub player that was as a comp that I watched when I was a little kid, and that's Sean Dunston. He had terrific range and a ridiculous arm, and then he would just like throw the ball through somebody or over the stadium. Like it was, but the same idea right there. Just like can get to everything, and so you think you're going to make the play, and you just can't do it. And yeah, you're right. Some of it, I guess you're right, is this judgment, Alex. Right? It's just like make a judgment here and don't do this. So regarding, go ahead.
Bringing up a reference from before I was born, Sean Dunston. I had to do that real quick. But like, if Griefel is as good as the White Sox think, there was an example last year that like the effect of a good manager, because I think a lot of the impact a manager has is culture and everything within the clubhouse. And like if guys like Griefel said it in his press conference, like if he noticed the energy of the team in the clubhouse, like that's how he'll know if the Royals would beat the Sox that day or not. the Padres did give a good example of that effect of a manager going from who they have before Melvin?
They had Jace Tingler.
Jace Tingler, the Melvin. So everybody remembers the Padres deadline acquisitions of like Soto and Hader. But going into that, they were 14 games over 500. But nobody realized the only deals they signed in that offseason from their team were 3 relievers, and they traded for Manaea. And they went from 79 and 83 to 14 games over at the deadline. Like, they gave you the example. If Grifol is as good as Han says he is like, it can happen. Like, the bounce backs can happen.
I dug into this a little bit, and let's not forget. So, if you look at the Pythag record, 2021, the Pythag they underperformed it. Their Pythag record was 83 and 79. 2022 is 86 and 76. You're like, that's only 3 fucking games, whatever. The difference, though, no Fernando Tatis Jr. in 2022. So that's about 10 games of difference there when you pull out Tatis Jr.'s 6.6 B-WAR. And so that group, you're totally right. They got a big bounce out of guys. They got Darvish was a 3-win bounce out of that group. Kim moved to shortstop and played terrific defense. Was a big bounce for that squad right there.
Turned it around.
Absolutely, yeah. Snell, exactly. Snell, I mean, he picked up 20 points in ERA plus year over year, with these groups. So yeah, like the main material difference to me here, Alex. I agree with you. Some of this bounce for sure is the manager. It's hard for you to measure how much of it is. How much of it is like getting these guys going in the right direction, attitude about coming here and just playing better because of it. Because anyone who's ever been on a team knows all that shit does matter. Absolutely. Yeah. And you're more focused. You're like, well, that guy's playing good. I want to make sure I play good, and I don't want to let these guys down.
It's all about the vibes.
It is. I mean, people laugh at that, but it's true. But the only difference, though, is Bob Melvin was a proven commodity, plucked directly out of the Athletics dugout. It's like, hey, we're stealing this guy from you. Grifol is a newcomer, brand spanking new. So how do you still have you have similar?
That's why I put it the qualifier if he's as good as Han says he is. Because like, there's no way for us to like know whether he's going to be good or not sitting here in January. But like, if he's as good as like they say he is, then sure, he could turn out to be shit. But we don't know that at this point. It's like the Tom Fernelli hire qualifier. I like so and so. I like this hire, but I have no idea if it'll work out.
Right. That's exactly right. It's tough to tell until they're actually in there. They get their hands in the soil. It's very difficult to tell. And I've become immune to someone won the press conference. Yeah. Actually, when they win the press conference, I get ill, and I because so many Bears coaches have won the press conference, and then they turn out to not be worth the shit. Football ain't baseball, but still.
Yeah, exactly.
Nathan, yeah, I hear you, baby. Tough on Han. That's never going away. I got a new meme out there. Basically, have a career year. Okay, we're going with that this year with the White Sox. That's what we need. Career year for everybody.
Yes. I'm sure the hitting free agency will be very motivational for Giolito at this point.
You're right. And incentives are a motherfucker. Yeah, that's probably be helpful. I found it weird. Just a couple last points. I found it weird. I was reading James Fegan's article about the arms that the White Sox have brought in. All have previous connections to Ethan Katz, which I like. And on one hand, I really like that. On the other hand, I'm like, this is Coop will fix him all over again. This is just Katz will fix him. Now, do I believe
so far?
I was gonna say, now, do I believe Katz to be a better fixer at this point? I do, but it kind of cracked me up. But it's funny. They talked ad nauseum about their beliefs in Clevenger and how they think it could fix him. And then I thought to myself, why the fuck you only sign him to a 1-year deal? If you have this much goddamn faith. I was excited, but also pissed. Like, dude, get him a couple years if you think you got this. Let's go. Gamble on it a little bit.
That could be like Clevenger's side. Like, is he? I think he's still pretty young. Like, didn't want.
32. So yeah. If he kicks ass, there's another decent sized deal out there. Yep.
Yeah, because like coming off a shit year, like nobody's gonna want to sign a multi-year deal. So I do get it. That's why they added in the mutual option, I guess. But
yeah,
we'll see.
The one that no one ever takes. Timothy Maher says, Grifol even looks like Wannstedt. God damn it. It looks like Wannstedt. Wani. I would love Wani in the White Sox dugout just for a few weeks, not the whole season. I don't know if I could tolerate that. Alex, anything else on the White Sox?
No, I don't. Minor league deals, like they added Billy Hamilton, who's a perfect vibes guy. Do you think any of the minor league deals that they've added, the Marisnik, Hamilton, Victor Reyes, any of them break camp?
I honestly hope not. I hope there's a fourth outfielder signing still out there, a relatively cheap one. For me, I would go buy Robbie Grossman.
Yeah.
Just to add one more competent outfielder to the roster. Although I don't know how it shakes out with. I think Gavin Sheets is probably on the roster too. I don't know how I would manage the 26 man. I haven't dug that deep yet, but I would like another guy who can actually play outfield on this roster, and not having to lean.
Colas insurance, because like if he isn't as good as like he's expected, you have someone there. I think that was the original plan if Pollock didn't opt out.
Yeah, and it would look really. I mean, Pollock would look great on this roster now because not pressed into full-time work. You can slide him in there against lefties. Use the right matchups for him. It'd be nice, but
oh well.
Yeah, I was to say, oh well, fuck it. Well, Alex, thanks so much for joining me. Thanks for bestowing your White Sox thoughts on me, on Jimmy Lambert, Brandon Stokes' scouting abilities, and the upside of the potential changes for the 2023 White Sox. Remember, we ain't trying to be right on the show. We're just trying to understand. Anything you want to plug? Anything else you want to say? You want to tell anyone to fuck off? Absolutely anything you want.
I'm good.
Awesome, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you soon, my friend.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
Bye. All right. That was Alex Rude. That was awesome. I loved having that conversation. That was just like in the ballpark talking to Alex, just going over various things on the White Sox. Love it. Next week's guest is Jackie Cristal from Southside Sox and the All Sports Scene, a.k.a. Ass. I love those ass people. She's going to be joining me to talk about her wild strikeout numbers as a senior in high school, pitching. Yes, she was a pitcher in high school, an absolutely fucking dominant one. And then we're going to be talking about some White Sox topics. So I think all of you are going to enjoy that. Thanks again to Alex Rude. Thanks to all my 108 family who's up in the comments. I appreciate you smashing the like button, passing them drinks on to us. Hit notifications, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that good shit. See ya. Love you all.